without any basic knowledge of the camera. It seems that there are many people who find it difficult to use a DSLR or mirrorless camera for the first time. So today, about basic knowledge of camera, aperture, and shutter speed, ISO, which are the most necessary and important for taking pictures. 1. Aperture value. First of all, let's look at the aperture value. The aperture value is a numerical value indicating the degree of opening of the aperture. The aperture here is a mechanical device that controls the amount of light that passes through the camera lens. If you look at the next picture, can you see that several blades are spirally overlapped? This is the aperture. The higher the aperture value, the less open the aperture. The amount of light passing through the lens is reduced and the picture becomes dark. Conversely, the lower the aperture value, the wider the aperture opens. Aperture plays an important role in making the difference in depth, as well as the brightness of a photo. The more the aperture is opened, the lower the f value. The shallower the depth of field, the slightly open the aperture, the higher the f number. The deeper the depth of field. When the depth of field is shallow, the subject is in focus, out-focusing. And when the depth of field is deep, the background is all in focus. So, in the case of a group photo that needs to be in focus evenly for many people, the f value is increased. You can think of the aperture of the camera like a hole through which light enters. The larger the aperture value, the wider the hole. The smaller the value, the smaller the hole. By adjusting the aperture value, you can conveniently shoot while adjusting the depth of field. If you want to take an out-of-focus photo, if you take the aperture value as low as possible, you can take a picture with a blurry background, except for the subject in focus. But if it doesn't fit properly, it can come out too dark or too bright, so be careful. When buying a lens, this f number is a very important option. Lenses with a lower f number, that is, a wider aperture, are more expensive. This is because, under the same conditions, a lens with a lower f value can take a brighter picture and maximize the out-of-focusing effect. 2. Shutter speed. Shutter speed is the time until the camera shutter opens and closes. You can control the amount of light entering the camera by adjusting the amount of time this shutter is open. The faster the shutter speed, the darker the picture because the amount of light entering the camera decreases, and the slower the shutter speed, the more light the picture becomes. Shutter speed plays a bigger role than controlling the brightness of a photo, and it's containing the flow. In order to capture a moving subject without shaking, the subject can be captured instantly. You need a fast shutter speed. Conversely, if you want to capture the process and flow of the subject moving, you need a slow shutter speed. I prepare sample photos to help you understand. The pictures of children playing in the water, Taken with a fast shutter speed, we're able to capture the splashing of each water drop. This photo captures a moving object at a slow shutter speed, making it look like a stream of water. Fast shutter speed is mainly suitable for sports and animal photography. Slow shutter speeds are ideal for capturing photos that need enough light or locusts, stars, cars, etc., such as at night. Shutter speed is a function that adjusts the amount of light passing through the lens in time. If you increase the shutter speed, you can also take pictures clearly. Conversely, when expressing the passage of time or softness, use a lower shutter speed. If you shoot the exposure mode in aperture priority mode, the shutter speed is adjusted automatically. However, since each camera has its own characteristics, a uniform standard does not apply. But it automatically moves according to the aperture value set by the shutter speed. ISO. ISO is a component that controls the light entering the camera along with aperture and shutter speed in camera settings. Increasing the ISO number increases the sensitivity to light, making the photo brighter, while lowering the ISO number, the photo darkens. When the brightness is not sufficient even when the aperture is open to the maximum, and the picture seems to be shaken by slowing the shutter speed. At this time, you can increase the ISO to achieve the desired brightness. But unlike the aperture value or shutter speed, the higher the ISO number, the more noise is generated in the image and the image quality deteriorates. ISO is a measure of the degree to which light is received. It controls how sensitive the camera is to accept the light. To put it simply, if you increase the ISO value, light is sensitively received and the photo comes out bright, and when you decrease the ISO value, the photo comes out dark. However, the higher the ISO value, the higher the noise, because it reduces the quality of the image. Set the shutter speed value and aperture value first. Rather than increasing the ISO value unconditionally, even if it is dark, it is good to set the ISO value. So, should the act of increasing the ISO be avoided? It's not like that. I think a picture that reminds me of a day's memories is better than a black picture with nothing coming out or a picture that is shaken too much. And nowadays cameras have a wide range of effective sensitivity, that is, the ISO setting range that cannot damage the picture quality. The range is different for each camera, so it's good to practice and learn the range with less noise. Even the latest camera launched recently been equipped with noise reduction function. You can use the calibration tools such as Photoshop, etc. to reduce the noise as you want. Rather, it is impossible to correct a picture with blur due to a slow shutter speed, but correction for a dark picture is much simpler. ISO, if used properly, will be a very useful tool in dark environments. Aperture value, shutter speed, and ISO. However, in the essential parts of the three basic camera terms and the camera configuration exposure triangle, I explained it as simple and easy as possible.